I want to start here and kind of run through a series of issues that voters have told us are at the top of their mind. And one of the ones that we hear about over and over and over again is inflation. People are worried about it. If you're sent back to Congress, what will you do to stop inflation?
Well, we have to start with the core principle of what causes inflation, which has been the massive amount of government spending. I'm one of those that's critical of not only Democrats, but Republicans as well. And Congress has been spending too much money, not just for a few years, but actually for decades. And I'm a fiscal conservative. I've been a business owner pretty much all of my adult life. And it's important to me to work with my colleagues in Congress to reduce spending. If the American people can balance their budget, I think Congress should do the same thing.
Now, you have been in office in Congress for the last roughly 4 years. Congress controls the purse strings. You're concerned about runaway spending. In the time that you've been in Congress, why haven't you rallied your colleagues and tamped down on spending?
I have. I've been a very vocal advocate for reducing spending. As a matter of fact, I've been so vocal, I have voted against many of the budgets and voted against the CRs because the spending is out of control. Even a Republican CR, I have voted against those. I think that we need to do a better job for the American people, and that involves with being a lot more responsible with how we spend their money. We're over $35 trillion in debt as a nation. That's all of us together, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and even people that don't even care about voting ever. And we have to do a better job because we're at a point where it's running away from us, and we have a short window of getting it back under control.
I want to shift gears to another topic we hear a lot about. As you know, in September, at Appalachia High School, a gunman opened fire, killed 4 people, injured many others. If you're sent back to Congress, what will you do to stop these mass shootings?
Yeah, that's an issue that's very personal to me. When I was in 11th grade, one of the kids that went to my high school at South Forsyth High School brought guns to school on the school bus and pulled out his gun in the first period classroom. Our entire high school went on lockdown. This was back before this was something that was a common occurrence. We had no plan. But I do remember sitting in that classroom thinking to myself, and my friends and I talked to each other saying, if this kid at school has a gun, who is going to protect us? And we were lucky that day. No one was killed, thankfully. But this has been a story that's been reoccurring through the rest of my growing up. And as I've raised 3 children right here in Georgia, in Georgia schools, this issue is so important to me. I also have the privilege of being a representative in Congress where I work in a place where there are men armed with guns, every type of firearm, from AR-15s to handguns. And I enjoy the privilege of being protected by those armed guards. So does Joe Biden, so does Kamala Harris, so does Donald Trump, so do all of us. And I think our kids, and I'll say this as a mother, are our most precious possession. We should be guarding these kids the exact same way. In your answer, you focused on, it seems, kind of hardening the school facilities, making sure there is armed guards to keep kids safe. Is that a fair characterization? Absolutely. I believe in protecting our children. I share every parent's fear. It's a parent's worst nightmare. And I can tell you right now, I think it's an extreme hypocrisy for lawmakers to sit and enjoy that type of protection, but yet not do anything to protecting our kids.
In that similar vein, we hear a lot of calls about staffing up for school resource officers, making sure there are armed school resource officers in every school. At Appalachia, there were SROs there. Law enforcement credit them for being some of the first people on the scene and saving lives. But still, 4 people were killed. Still, a lot of people got hurt. Are armed guards the total solution here, or does there have to be something more?
Well, I think we have to be really honest in the fact that this is a terrible situation and maybe the condition of people in our community. And murder has been happening since the beginning of time, and murder is illegal. Every type of murder is illegal in America. And that happens with a firearm, with a knife, someone's hand. Murder is absolutely unacceptable, wrong, and we want to stop it at any way possible. I think the best thing we can do is work together with solutions to continue to harden our schools and protect our kids. We do it with airplanes flying every single day. I serve on the Homeland Security Committee. We have TSA as part of our committee, as part of the Homeland Department. If we can get this done for people flying on airplanes, we should do a better job for our kids in school.
Some people call for gun control legislation as well in the wake of shootings like these in particular. Is there any kind of gun control legislation you would support in Congress?
No, I'm not for gun control. I'm a 100% supporter of the Second Amendment. Also, as a woman, I'm a gun owner. And many times, if I'm home alone or in the years past locking up my business at night, I needed to be armed to protect myself. I believe in good guys with guns and good women with guns. And I believe in the American people's rights to keep and bear arms.
You have been an outspoken advocate of opposing abortion access. This is an issue that I know you feel strongly about. Right here in Georgia, we have what's commonly known as the heartbeat bill. It bans most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. Do you support Georgia's heartbeat bill?
Absolutely, I support Georgia's heartbeat bill, but I also support having a more serious conversation about abortion. If we're going to talk about abortion together, we should actually talk about what it is. It's the murder of a child. It's the murder of an innocent human being. And if we're going to dive into abortion, we should talk about the ways these innocent human beings are being aborted. They're being burned alive with saline. Are we educating women about that? Are we educating women about the practices of abortion where they literally cut off the arms and legs of an innocent human being in a woman's womb before they remove the baby? So if you want to talk about abortion with me, I'll go deep into the details on what it is, because I believe in educating women and helping women in crisis. And that's not generally done. The left lies about abortion. They call it reproductive rights. There is nothing reproductive about an abortion. Reproduction is reproducing life. Abortion is killing a life. So if we really want to talk about it, I'll talk about it with you, but we'll have to dive into the details of what an abortion actually is and how to educate women who are not informed about what it is.
I want to, if you'll permit me, I want to ask you this question. One of the core tenets of conservatism is keeping the government out of folks' decision making and allowing them to make the big decisions in their lives on their own. Conservatives like yourself also frequently support more restrictive abortion legislation. How do you reconcile those two things?
Oh, it's very easy. I believe the Constitution, the rights that are given to every American, also apply to people that have not been born yet. They have those same rights. And when a woman is pregnant, I have 3 children. I've been through 3 pregnancies, so I can talk about this easily. That's not my body. A baby is a separate body. A baby is a separate human. And they have rights too. So this isn't, if the government is to protect all lives, we should be protecting the unborn as well.
Would you support a nationwide version of the Georgia heartbeat bill if it was up for a vote in Congress?
Our position as Republicans have been made clear. We made it clear at our convention. President Trump has made it clear that since Roe versus Wade has been overturned, we are giving that back to the states. That's what the Supreme Court did, and we've done a great job here in Georgia with the heartbeat bill.
If it was up for a vote, though, in Congress, would you support it?
Again, I've said that we've made our party position, that we have given it back to the states, and I'm very happy with the heartbeat bill.
Okay. But as a nationwide policy, you wouldn't support it?
Again, our Republican Party position is that we stand with the Supreme Court. We've given it back to the states, and I support the heartbeat bill.
I've seen you at rallies, and we've talked to voters as well, and they say illegal immigration is a concern. You've said it's a concern for yourself. How would you tackle it? It's been an issue that has surged over the last 3 to 4 years, but it has been an issue too that has vexed both Republican and Democratic presidential administrations for many years now.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's been an ongoing issue, but it has come to unbelievable heights in the past few years. It's an issue it's one of the top issues. It's always in the top 3 across the country. It's also a very big issue in my district. We have to secure our border. Every country around the world secures their border, and it's absolutely ridiculous for America to not secure our border. It's hard to fathom the loss that the family of Lake and Riley has gone through. It's also hard to fathom other families' losses where their family members may have been accidentally killed by illegal alien crime, such as car accidents and things like that. So this is extremely serious. Fentanyl is also it's an epidemic. It's a plague here in America, and fentanyl is coming across the border every single day. So I think securing our border is the right thing to do. We passed a very good bill in Congress, Republicans did. It's a strong border security bill, and I'd love to see President Trump sign it into law.
There was also a bipartisan border bill that was floated earlier this year. It included things like more than 1,000 new Customs and Border Patrol agents, a tightening of asylum rules, and that bill was essentially dead on arrival once it got floated in the Senate and started to make its way over to the House. Why did Republicans not support that bill?
I strongly support Border Patrol agents and hiring as many as we can and giving them the resources to help them. They have some of the hardest jobs there is. And in past years, especially recently, they have the highest suicide rate in all federal law enforcement, which is heartbreaking. We talk to them, they come before the Homeland Committee. They are so frustrated on the job, and it's just unbelievable to think that they have the highest suicide rate. So we definitely want to help them out. The reason why I opposed that bill, and our Republicans opposed that bill largely, is because it allowed for a daily number, 5,000 people to enter the country every single day. 5,000, that's 1.8 million a year, and we should not be passing a bill to legalize the invasion of 1.8 million people every single day.
Is there a point, though, where folks in Congress need to do some compromising on tough issues like this?
Look, I think compromise is very important at certain times, but I can't understand why Democrats and Republicans have to compromise on the security and the safety of the United States of America. The federal government's role to the states is to secure and provide security and guard the states from invasion. The numbers that we have seen that are upwards of 12 million in the past few years, over 2 million gotaways, that is literally an invasion. That's what regular people call it every single day. They say we are being invaded. This doesn't have anything to do with anyone's race or where they're coming from. It's the flat out fact that the federal government is not providing security for the United States of America, and this is drastically increasing crime, murdering Americans, and pushing resources to the point where especially small towns can't provide housing, can't provide education, and shouldn't be forced to do so.
When it gets down to brass tacks, though, what does the solution look like?
The solution is the border bill that Republicans have passed. We passed it in the House. We can't wait to get it passed in the Senate, and we really hope to see President Trump sign it into law.
For those who maybe aren't supreme policy wonks who may be watching this, what does that border bill do?
What the border bill does is it brings back important policies like remain in Mexico, so that if someone is coming to enter the United States, they can remain in Mexico while their claim is being processed. It also goes through strong vetting and checking children and adults, making sure that these kids are with a parent or a family member. Right now, we are missing over 300,000 migrant children. This happened on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's watch. This happened under Alejandro Mayorkas, and it's unforgivable to not know where these children are. Even the New York Times reported that these kids are being used in child labor here in America. That's the unthinkable for many Americans. And the worst part is many of these kids are sold into sex slavery. Here in Atlanta, we know that to be a terrible issue, given the fact that Atlanta is typically in the top 3 for child sex slavery. and sex trafficking. So our bill, our border security bill, would stop these type of things. We would also provide tremendous resources to Border Patrol agents and ICE to allow them to remove criminal illegal aliens from the country.
We're closing in on our time limit here. I want to ask you just a couple last questions, if you'll permit me, and then give you space to make your final pitch to voters who may still be undecided, because they are out there. There may not be a lot of them, but there are undecided voters left. As we close in on Election Day, a lot of people are thinking back to the last election. They remember 2020. With 4 years of hindsight now, do you believe that Joe Biden won that election?
Oh, my goodness, this is always the silliest question there is. Joe Biden is the president of the United States. So that has been completely resolved. Kamala Harris is the vice president. She's also running as president right now and never received a single Democrat primary vote. Talk about destroying democracy. That really is destroying democracy.
The Democrats followed their own party process, though. There was nothing outside the bounds of their rules.
Still, though, don't you think people's votes matter and they should be able to vote? RFK didn't get to receive votes across the country. I think it's it's a big hypocrisy to talk about destroying democracy when Kamala Harris never received a single primary vote.
No matter who wins this presidential election, will you support the eventual winner?
I will support once we see how the election turns out. I believe in election integrity. I believe that the citizens of our country should be able to cast their vote in a system that is transparent and a system that provides the correct results. And so I'm going to watch the process happen, and we'll see how it turns out.
But right now, it sounds like you're not going to say declaratively you'll support the winner.
I'm going to watch the election happen. We're in early voting right now, Election Day, November 5th. We'll see how the results turn out and make sure there's no election fraud. So I look forward to seeing that happen.
How widespread of a concern do you have about election fraud? Though we heard former President Trump argue in 2020 that widespread election fraud tipped the election in Joe Biden's favor, but both Republican and Democratic appointed judges ruled against that argument. Republican Attorney General Bill Barr said there was no evidence of widespread fraud. How big of a deal is this in this election?
Actually, most of the cases were thrown out on lack of standing. So most of the cases didn't actually make it through court. I think election integrity is one of the top issues across Georgia. It's one of the top issues across the country. And I think it's very important. I can't imagine any American not supporting election integrity. You know, before the 2020 election, and I can provide you with a video after this, Democrats were the ones that talked about voting machines. They actually had a lot of concerns and mistrust in voting machines in the elections. Hillary Clinton said that her election was stolen. Stacey Abrams, who ran twice here for governor in Georgia, said that her election was stolen. So I think across the political spectrum, election integrity is extremely important, rightfully so.
And just to be super clear, Stacey Abrams did concede you're talking about the 2018 gubernatorial race. She did concede after about a week of contesting the results. Closing in on the end of time here. Congresswoman, to a voter who's watching this who still has not made up their mind about whether to support you or your opponent, your final pitch to that undecided voter is what?
Well, first of all, I'm so grateful for my district that has elected me and sent me to Washington to represent them. I've worked very hard with Congress and my constituents to bring home appropriations that are good for our district, water projects, infrastructure projects, supporting for fire, and many more issues. These are things I will continue to work on, and that helps our entire community. Also, I'm proud to represent Georgia's 14th district. Their values, which is fiscal conservatism, stopping the overspending in Congress, protecting our borders, and making sure that we have an economy that works for every American so Americans can continue to live the American dream. As a small business owner and a mom, I really, truly support the everyday American, and those people are right there in Georgia 14. And so I would humbly ask for their vote.
Congresswoman, thank you for your time.
Thank you.